Humanity's encounter. In the vast expanse of the galaxy, humanity had finally achieved the dream of reaching the stars. After centuries of technological advancement and space exploration, they had established colonies on distant planets and made contact with various alien species. However, their greatest challenge lay ahead as they encountered the Zephyrians, an ancient and highly advanced race. The Zephyrians were known for their superior technology, towering cityscapes that seemed to defy gravity, and their mastery over the very fabric of space-time. When human ambassadors first arrived on Zephyria Prime, they were in awe of the alien civilization's achievements. The human delegation, led by Ambassador Ilara Voss, hoped to establish diplomatic relations and learn from the Zephyrians' vast knowledge. However, the Zephyrians viewed humanity with a condescending eye. To them, humans were mere primitives, stumbling their way through the cosmos. The Zephyrian High Council, a group of elite intellectuals and leaders, saw no value in engaging with what they considered an inferior species. They believed that humanity had nothing to offer them, and any attempts at diplomacy were a waste of their time. Ambassador Voss and her team were met with cold indifference and thinly veiled insults. The Zephyrians made no effort to hide their disdain for the human visitors, treating them as though they were children playing at being grown-ups. The human ambassadors were excluded from important meetings, their opinions dismissed without consideration, and their requests for cooperation were met with scorn. Tensions between humanity and the Zephyrians escalated as the dismissive attitude of the alien race became more apparent. The human delegation felt humiliated and frustrated, their efforts to build bridges continuously thwarted by Zephyrian arrogance. Ambassador Voss struggled to maintain composure in the face of constant belittlement, knowing that the future of human-Zephyrian relations hung in the balance. As the weeks turned into months, the human ambassadors found themselves increasingly isolated on Zephyria Prime. They were confined to a small designated area of the capital city, their movements closely monitored and restricted. The Zephyrians made it clear that they had no intention of treating humanity as equals, and any attempts to challenge their superiority would be met with swift retribution. Despair began to set in among the human delegation. They had come to Zephyria Prime with high hopes and a desire for knowledge exchange, but now they faced the harsh reality of being treated as inferior beings. Ambassador Voss knew that she needed to find a way to break through the Zephyrian stubborn pride and establish a meaningful dialogue, but the path forward seemed increasingly uncertain. Little did the Zephyrians know that among the human delegation was a brilliant linguist named Dr. Liam Ruff. Dr. Roth had been fascinated by the Zephyrian language since their first encounter, and he had dedicated himself to studying their ancient texts and historical records. Unbeknownst to the Zephyrian High Council, Dr. Roth's expertise would soon prove to be the key to unraveling the very fabric of their society and changing the course of human-Zephyrian relations forever. As Ambassador Voss and her team grappled with the challenges before them, Dr. Roth worked tirelessly in the background, piecing together the puzzle of the Zephyrian language and culture. He sensed that there was more to the alien race than their current arrogance and dismissive attitude, and he was determined to uncover the truth. The fate of humanity's relationship with the Zephyrians rested on his shoulders, and he knew that time was running out. The ancient tongue. Dr. Liam Roth had always been fascinated by languages. As a child, he would spend hours poring over books on linguistics, absorbing the intricacies of grammar and syntax from various cultures across Earth. When humanity made contact with alien species, Dr. Roth's passion for language found a new frontier. He dedicated himself to studying the languages of the extraterrestrial civilizations they encountered, hoping to bridge the gap between humanity and the stars. On Zephyria Prime, Dr. Roth found himself drawn to the Zephyrian language. Despite the alien race's dismissive attitude towards humanity, he couldn't help but marvel at the complexity and elegance of their linguistic structure. He spent long hours in the human delegation's assigned quarters, analyzing Zephyrian texts and recordings, trying to decipher the nuances of their communication. One day, while exploring the limited access he had to the Zephyrian archives, Dr. Roth stumbled upon an ancient tome. The book was clearly of great age, its pages brittle and yellowed with time. The cover bore intricate symbols and markings that he had never seen before, even in his extensive studies of the Zephyrian language. Intrigued, Dr. Roth carefully opened the tome and began to examine its contents. To his surprise, the language within was unlike anything he had encountered in modern Zephyrian texts. It was an ancient dialect, one that seemed to predate the current Zephyrian language by countless generations. The script was elegant and flowing, the words imbued with a sense of power and significance that he couldn't quite place. Dr. Roth knew that he had stumbled upon something extraordinary. The ancient Zephyrian dialect was not mentioned in any of the linguistic databases he had access to, and he had never heard the Zephyrian High Council or any of their scholars reference it. It was as if this ancient language had been intentionally hidden away, erased from the collective memory of the Zephyrian people. With a sense of urgency, Dr. Roth began to study the ancient tome in secret. He knew that if the Zephyrian authorities discovered his interest in their forgotten language, they would likely confiscate the book and restrict his access even further. He worked tirelessly, poring over the pages, deciphering the Archaic script, and piecing together the grammatical structure of the ancient dialect. As he delved deeper into the tome, Dr. Roth began to uncover a rich tapestry of Zephyrian history and culture that had been lost to time. The ancient language spoke of a civilization that valued wisdom, empathy, and unity above all else. It depicted a society where individuals worked together for the greater good, where knowledge was shared freely, and where differences were celebrated rather than condemned. The more Dr. Roth read, the more he realized that the Zephyrians had not always been the arrogant and dismissive race they were now. The ancient texts painted a picture of a civilization that had once been open, curious, and willing to learn from others. The values and ideals described in the tome stood in stark contrast to the current Zephyrian society, which seemed to have lost its way. Dr. Roth knew that this knowledge could be the key to breaking through the Zephyrians' stubborn pride and establishing a meaningful dialogue between their two species. If he could somehow show the Zephyrians the wisdom and values of their ancestors, perhaps they would be willing to reconsider their attitude towards humanity and other races. However, Dr. Roth also realized that his discovery could be dangerous. If the Zephyrian High Council learned of the ancient tome and the secrets it contained, they might view it as a threat to their power and authority. They could use their advanced technology to suppress the knowledge or even retaliate against humanity for uncovering their hidden past. Despite the risks, Dr. Roth knew that he had to continue his work. The fate of human-Zephyrian relations, and perhaps even the future of both their species, depended on his ability to bridge the gap between their two cultures. With renewed determination, he delved deeper into the ancient Zephyrian language, unraveling its mysteries and uncovering the truths that had been buried for so long. Deciphering the past. As Dr. Liam Roth continued to study the ancient Zephyrian tome, he found himself increasingly drawn into the world of the past. The more he deciphered, the more he realized that the ancient dialect held a power and significance that went beyond mere words. It was as if the language itself was imbued with a hidden energy, a force that could shape reality and influence the very fabric of the universe. The ancient texts spoke of a time when the Zephyrians were not the cold, arrogant race they had become, but rather a civilization that valued wisdom, empathy, and unity above all else. The tome described a society where individuals worked together for the common good, where knowledge was shared freely, and where differences were celebrated and embraced. Dr. Roth discovered that the ancient Zephyrians believed in the power of language to bridge divides and bring people together. They saw communication as a sacred art, a means of fostering understanding and cooperation between all beings. The ancient dialect was not just a tool for conveying information, but a way of connecting with the very essence of existence itself. As he delved deeper into the texts, Dr. Roth began to uncover the story of how the Zephyrians had lost their way. The tome spoke of a great cataclysm, a cosmic event that had shaken the foundations of their civilization. In the aftermath of this disaster, the Zephyrians had become fearful and insular, turning inward and cutting themselves off from the rest of the universe. Over time, the Zephyrians had forgotten the values and ideals that had once guided their society. They had become obsessed with their own superiority, believing that they alone held the keys to knowledge and power. They had abandoned the ancient language and the wisdom it contained, seeing it as a relic of a primitive past that had no place in their advanced civilization. Dr. Roth realized that the ancient tome held the key to unlocking the Zephyrians' lost heritage. If he could find a way to remind them of their ancestral values and the power of the ancient language, perhaps he could help them rediscover the path to wisdom and empathy. He knew that it would not be an easy task, but he was determined to try. As he worked to decipher the ancient texts, Dr. Roth began to experience strange visions and dreams. He saw glimpses of the ancient Zephyrian civilization, of towering spires and gleaming cities that pulsed with the energy of the ancient language. He heard whispers of long-forgotten voices, echoes of a past that called out to him from across the ages. At first, Dr. Roth dismissed these experiences as mere hallucinations, the result of too many long hours spent poring over the ancient tome. But as the visions became more frequent and more vivid, he began to suspect that there was something more at work. It was as if the ancient language itself was reaching out to him, guiding him towards a destiny that he could not yet fully comprehend. Despite the challenges and the risks, Dr. Roth pressed on with his work. He knew that he was running out of time, that the tensions between humanity and the Zephyrians were reaching a breaking point. He had to find a way to bridge the gap between their two civilizations before it was too late. As he neared the end of his translations, Dr. Roth made a startling discovery. The ancient tome contained a series of powerful incantations, words that could be spoken aloud to unleash the full potential of the ancient language. These incantations were said to have the power to summon the spirits of the ancient Zephyrians, to bridge the divide between the past and the present. Dr. Roth knew that he had to act fast. The fate of humanity and the Zephyrians hung in the balance, and he was the only one who could prevent a catastrophic conflict between their two species. With a sense of purpose and determination, he prepared to confront the Zephyrian High Council and reveal the truth of their lost heritage. The future of the galaxy would be decided in the moments to come, and Dr. Roth was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Confrontation and revelation. The tension between the human delegation and the Zephyrian High Council had reached a boiling point. Ambassador Ilara Voss had tried every diplomatic approach to establish a meaningful dialogue with the arrogant alien race, but her efforts had been met with nothing but disdain and dismissal. The Zephyrians seemed determined to humiliate the humans at every turn, making it clear that they saw themselves as the superior species. In a last-ditch effort to salvage the situation, Ambassador Voss called for a formal meeting with the Zephyrian High Council. She hoped that by appealing to their sense of reason and highlighting the potential benefits of cooperation, she could finally break through their stubborn pride and establish a foundation for future relations. As the human delegation entered the grand chamber of the Zephyrian High Council, they were met with a sight that left them stunned. The council members were seated on elevated platforms, their faces etched with expressions of boredom and contempt. The room was adorned with intricate technological marvels, a testament to the Zephyrians' advanced capabilities. Ambassador Voss stepped forward, her voice steady and determined as she addressed the council. She spoke of the common challenges that faced both their species, of the potential for mutual growth, and discovery that could be achieved through collaboration. She implored the Zephyrians to look beyond their preconceived notions of superiority and to embrace the opportunity for a new beginning. But her words fell on deaf ears. The Zephyrian High Council members sneered at the human ambassador, their eyes filled with a mixture of amusement and disdain. They interrupted her speech with mocking laughter and dismissive comments, belittling the achievements of humanity and asserting their own unassailable dominance. As Ambassador Voss struggled to maintain her composure in the face of such blatant disrespect, Dr. Liam Roth watched from the sidelines, his heart heavy with the knowledge of what he had to do. He knew that the time had come to reveal the truth of the Zephyrians' lost heritage, to confront them with the power of the ancient language that they had long forgotten. With a deep breath, Dr. Roth stepped forward, the ancient tome clutched tightly in his hands. The Zephyrian High Council members turned to face him, their expressions ranging from curiosity to outright hostility. They had not expected a mere human linguist to dare to speak in their presence. But Dr. Roth was undeterred. He opened the ancient tome and began to recite the words that he had painstakingly deciphered, the incantations that held the power to bridge the divide between the past and the present. As he spoke, his voice seemed to fill the chamber, echoing with an otherworldly resonance that sent shivers down the spines of all who heard it. The Zephyrian High Council members fell silent, their eyes widening in shock and disbelief as they recognized the ancient language that flowed from Dr. Roth's lips. Some clutched at their chests, as if the words themselves were causing them physical pain, while others stared in mute amazement, unable to comprehend what they were witnessing. As Dr. Roth continued to recite the incantations, a strange energy began to fill the chamber. The air crackled with an unseen force, and the very foundations of the room seemed to tremble beneath their feet. The human delegation watched in awe as the technological marvels that adorned the walls flickered and dimmed, their power drained by the ancient words. And then, as if summoned by the power of the language itself, spectral figures began to materialize in the center of the chamber. They were the spirits of the ancient Zephyrians, the ancestors who had long been forgotten by their descendants. Their forms shimmered with an ethereal light, their faces etched with a mixture of sadness and determination. The Zephyrian High Council members recoiled in horror, their arrogance and pride shattered in the face of this impossible apparition. They watched in stunned silence as the ancient spirits began to speak, their voices echoing with the wisdom and power of a long-lost age. Dr. Roth listened intently, his heart pounding in his chest as he realized that his gambit had worked. The ancient language had bridged the gap between the past and the present, and now the truth of the Zephyrians' heritage would be revealed. The fate of their two species hung in the balance, and the next few moments would determine the course of history for generations to come. Echoes of the ancestors. As the spectral figures of the ancient Zephyrians materialized in the grand chamber, a hush fell over the gathered assembly. The Zephyrian High Council members, once so proud and arrogant, now cowered in the presence of their long-forgotten ancestors. The human delegation, too, watched in breathless anticipation, knowing that the next few moments would be crucial in determining the fate of their two species. The ancient spirits began to speak, their voices resonating with the power and wisdom of a bygone era. They spoke of a time when the Zephyrians were a different people, a civilization that valued empathy, unity, and the pursuit of knowledge above all else. They described a society where individuals worked together for the common good, where differences were celebrated rather than condemned, and where the power of language was used to bridge divides and foster understanding. As the spirits spoke, their words seemed to weave a tapestry of images in the minds of all those present. The Zephyrian High Council members saw visions of their ancestors, of the towering spires and gleaming cities that had once been the heart of their civilization. They witnessed the great works of art and science that had been created through collaboration and shared knowledge, and they felt the weight of their own ignorance and arrogance in the face of such profound wisdom. The ancient spirits turned their attention to Dr. Liam Roth, the human linguist who had unlocked the secrets of their language. They commended him for his dedication and perseverance, for his unwavering belief in the power of communication to bring people together. They told him that he had done something that no Zephyrian had managed in countless generations. He had reconnected them with their lost heritage and reminded them of the values that had once made their civilization great. As the spirits spoke, the Zephyrian High Council members began to feel a deep sense of shame and regret. They realized that in their pursuit of superiority and dominance, They had lost sight of what truly mattered. They had forgotten the lessons of their ancestors and had allowed their arrogance to blind them to the potential of other species. The ancient spirits then addressed the human delegation directly. They acknowledged the courage and determination that the humans had shown in the face of such adversity, and they apologized for the treatment that they had endured at the hands of the Zephyrians. They told the humans that they had the potential to be a great force for good in the galaxy, but only if they remained true to their own values of empathy, curiosity, and unity. As the spirits finished speaking, a profound silence fell over the chamber. The Zephyrian High Council members, humbled and chastened by the words of their ancestors, turned to Ambassador Ilara Voss and the human delegation. They bowed their heads in a gesture of respect and contrition, acknowledging the errors of their ways and the need for change. Ambassador Voss, sensing the shift in the Zephyrians' attitude, stepped forward once again. She extended her hand to the High Council members, a symbol of the new beginning that they could forge together. She spoke of the potential for their two species to learn from one another, to combine their strengths and overcome their weaknesses, and to build a future of mutual respect and cooperation. The Zephyrian High Council members, moved by the ambassador's words and the wisdom of their ancestors, accepted her hand in a gesture of unity. They vowed to put aside their past prejudices and to work together with humanity to create a better future for all. They acknowledged that the path ahead would not be easy, but they were determined to face the challenges together. As the ancient spirits began to fade, their forms dissipating into the ether, Dr. Roth felt a sense of profound fulfillment wash over him. He had accomplished what he had set out to do, bridging the gap between two civilizations and unlocking the secrets of a long-forgotten past. He knew that the road ahead would be long and difficult, but he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The human delegation and the Zephyrian High Council members left the chamber together, their hearts filled with a newfound sense of purpose and determination. They knew that they had witnessed something extraordinary, a moment that would be remembered for generations to come. And as they stepped out into the bright light of a new day, they knew that the future of their two species was brighter than ever before. A new beginning. In the days and weeks that followed the momentous encounter with the ancient Zephyrian spirits, a new era of cooperation and understanding dawned between humanity and the Zephyrians. The once arrogant alien race, humbled by the wisdom of their ancestors and the courage of the human delegation, began to embrace the values of empathy, curiosity, and unity that had been lost to them for so long. The Zephyrian High Council, led by a newly appointed group of visionary leaders, worked tirelessly to dismantle the structures of superiority and dominance that had pervaded their society for generations. They reached out to the human delegation, seeking to learn from their experiences and perspectives, and to find ways to collaborate on projects that would benefit both their species. Ambassador Ilara Voss and her team were welcomed as honored guests on Zephyria Prime, their expertise and insights valued and appreciated by the Zephyrian people. They worked closely with the High Council to establish new channels of communication and cooperation, sharing knowledge and resources in a spirit of mutual respect and understanding. Dr. Liam Roth, hailed as a hero by both humans and Zephyrians alike, continued his work as a linguist and cultural ambassador. He spent long hours with Zephyrian scholars, delving deeper into the ancient language and the wisdom it contained. Together, they worked to uncover more of the lost history of the Zephyrian people, piecing together the fragments of a civilization that had once been a shining beacon of hope and progress in the galaxy. As the two species began to work together more closely, they discovered that their strengths and weaknesses complemented each other in remarkable ways. The Zephyrians' advanced technology and deep understanding of the universe were combined with humanity's ingenuity, adaptability, and emotional intelligence. Together, they embarked on groundbreaking projects in fields ranging from space exploration and scientific research to art and culture. One of the most significant collaborations was the establishment of a joint human Zephyrian academy dedicated to the study and preservation of the ancient language and the values it embodied. The Academy attracted the brightest minds from both species, who worked together to unlock the secrets of the past and apply them to the challenges of the present and future. As the years passed, the bond between humanity and the Zephyrians grew stronger and deeper. The two species became more than just allies. They became friends and partners, united in their commitment to building a better future for all. The once vast gulf between their civilizations had been bridged, replaced by a shared sense of purpose and a deep appreciation for the power of communication and understanding. The story of humanity's encounter with the Zephyrians became a legend, passed down from generation to generation as a testament to the transformative power of language, empathy, and unity. It served as a reminder that even the most entrenched prejudices and misunderstandings could be overcome, and that the key to a brighter future lay in the willingness to listen, learn, and grow together. For Dr. Liam Roth, Ambassador Ilara Voss, and the countless others who had played a role in this historic moment, the journey had been a long and difficult one. But as they looked out at the thriving, vibrant world that had emerged from the ashes of the past, they knew that it had been worth it. They had dared to dream of a better future, and through their courage, determination, and belief in the power of understanding, they had made that dream a reality. As the story came to a close, the message was clear, that the true strength of any civilization lay not in its technological prowess or military might, but in its ability to embrace the values of empathy, curiosity, and unity. For in a universe filled with endless wonders and challenges, it was only by working together and learning from one another that any species could hope to achieve its full potential and build a future worth fighting for.